Genesis chapter 11, there is an account that the whole earth was of one language and one speech. And that means that there has been a time on this earth when there was only one nation on the whole earth. It was one people, one nation on earth. But what happened was they decided to build a tower to heaven, and it was against the will of God. So God confused their language, and they began to scatter on the face of the earth as a result. And that was the birth of nations on the earth. Now, you fast forward many thousands of years later, up until our time, there still seems to be separate nations. However, because of interdependency between nations and globalization, which has created a common culture for basically everywhere in the world. Now the world actually, English would be standardized pretty much across the whole world. It's mostly the language that most nations of the world use. We have pretty much ended up back that way. We seem to have many different nations, but the reality of it is it's all the same. It has different names, but the cultures have been standardized. The language is standardized. There seems to be, or there is actually, one nation on earth now. Just to add to that, you would be hearing more about global citizen. Another way to put it is earthy citizen. What they're saying is we're all one. If you're on this earth, you are a citizen of the earth. You're not a citizen of the nation that you're from, Australia or America. It's not, that's not the country you're just a citizen of. Now you are an earthly citizen. That's the way things are going. It's globalization, making the whole world one. And what that means is the world then will come under a world government, one world government, because everyone is of the same citizenship, citizen of the earth. Therefore, will come under one government of the earth. So that's the way things look now, and that's the way it is definitely heading. As far as nations, there is another nation on this earth. Peter describes it. It is the holy nation of the church. You see, there is the nation of the earth. It was the divided nations, which now through globalization and all the interdependency, the mechanisms that have been used to bring it, all the nations of the earth together to form one nation. But there is a separate nation, and 1 Peter 2:9 describes that nation as a holy nation, a royal priesthood, is the nation of the church. And it's a separate nation. And it's not like any other nation on earth. And the reason is because that nation, the nation of the church, is actually representing the nation or the country of heaven. The church are planted to represent another nation, that is the nation of heaven. So you have two nations on earth. Now, there has been times when people were just loyal and they pledge their allegiance to the nation that they were born in. If a person was born in, somewhere in Europe, say in Italy or something, they were loyal to that nation. They pledged their allegiance to that nation. And that was back then. But now, if we take the same stance, you're not only pledging your allegiance to the nation that you were born in fact, you're pledging your allegiance to as a citizen of the earth, because your nation now is a part of a global conglomerate of nations. So what is the new patriotism? This means that those of us that are born again, the Bible tells us that we are citizens, not of the earth, but citizens of heaven. And we pledge our allegiance to the nation of heaven, serving under our King, Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's the new patriotism. We don't pledge our allegiance to a nation of the earth, because all of them have become one. We pledge our allegiance to our King, Jesus, and the nation that Jesus represents, which is the kingdom of heaven. We stand for and represent the values of our King and the nation that he represents. We that are born again are the holy nation of the church here representing Jesus, our King, and his nation, the kingdom of heaven.